Good morning, AIM students. Today is March 12, 2016, and today I will be building the Nailed It Rube Goldberg example machine. Remember, for this challenge, you need to get a nail starting out of a surface into a surface. And remember, you don't want to just hammer it all the way in, you want to get it to a particular depth. This is the nail I'll be using today, and you can see my 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. This would be C level, B level, and A level. Remember, to get the most points, you want to get between the B level line and the A level without going above it. So if you go too shallow, it's worth points but not as many. If you go too far, it's worth points but not as many. Right here is your target depth. So this is the nail I'll be using today. It may not be the same nail that you'll be using. Remember, you won't get that nail until the morning of the Rube Goldberg challenge, when you can see its marks and adjust from there. Now, you only get one nail, so you want to make sure that you take care of it. To make sure I don't lose my nail, I'm going to take this pipe cleaner here and just tie it to it. That way I'm not likely to lose my nail. If I lose my nail, I lose a whole bunch of points, so make sure you don't lose it. Now, you guys have a whole team of people helping you. I only have one special helper, and here she is.
Hello, my name is Michaela, and I'm 7 years old. I'm 8 years old, and I will be helping.
Alright, so we're going to go start our machine. We're going to design it and then start building it, and we'll see how it goes. Wish us luck.
Hi. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my design and why I decided to use it. See here? This is the lever that I thought of. There's a hammer at the end. When the lever would fall down, the hammer would hit the nail, and the nail would go through this aluminum pan. The reason we picked an aluminum pan is so that the nail would be able to, go through it easily, and we put a block underneath it so that the block would stop it from going all the way down. And a problem we ran into is how to hold the nail up until the hammer fell, so we used pipe cleaners to hold it up. And that was my idea. We used pipe cleaners to hold it up, and
Then we can use this hammer over here attached to this right here, this level, and we're going to use this teeter-totter to act as the fulcrum for our lever. So that's our initial design, and we're going to test it out in just a moment. Okay, we're going to test our final step right now to see if it works. We've got our hammer ready to drive the nail in. The nail is held up by the pipe cleaners, and we have a wooden block underneath the aluminum pan to make sure it doesn't go too deep. So we're going to see how this step goes. Go ahead, Michaela, step off. Alright, let's see what it did. Alright, it seems like it didn't drive in the nail at all. It looks like it bent. So that might be a problem. We may have to either try to fix this or adjust it. So wish us luck. So we ran into some issues with the aluminum pan. It was just too hard to put a hole through it. Like we thought it would be easier, but it wasn't. So we tried a suggestion that Michaela had made earlier, but we actually took a potato and see if we could push into a potato, but that was still pretty hard when it was raw. So she suggested we cook it kind of like when you make mashed potatoes. So we microwaved it, and hopefully it'll be soft enough. We're outside now, and the wind is becoming a factor, so we tried to use the pipe cleaners to hold up the nail, and they weren't doing so well. So we used the same idea, and we switched to a large aluminum foil bridge. We're still having some trouble with it because the wind is pretty bad. It's one thing you have to make sure you adjust for is the wind. But we can get it to hold the nail on top of the potato using the aluminum bridge, at least for a little bit of time. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we get later into the day and it gets windier. But we're going to try to use the same idea of hammering the nail using the hammer on the lever to drive the nail into the potato. And we're going to see how well this works. We'll give it a try in just a moment. Here is our test for our hammer into the nail, into the potato, using the aluminum bridge. Alright, Michaela, go ahead and drop it. Well, it did go through the aluminum. Let's go see if it went into the potato now. And it went into the potato. So that works. The problem is we went too deep. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to make sure that it doesn't go too much deeper into that. We'll have to think through that. All right, wish us luck. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick test run from where we're at right now. Again, we took the baked potato, which was a problem before because it drove all the way through in the first test and we got too deep. So we cut the potato in half so that the nail goes through the potato and hits the ground underneath. That way it goes to the right depth and not too deep. We were going to try to use a pulley to activate the lever, but that was just too hard to do. So we put a support here instead. And what we're going to do is pull out the support using this car, which will drop the hammer. Now here came the trick. Michaela's idea was to use the remote control car, but pushing the buttons and stuff was very difficult. So what we did is we had the buttons just depressed and took out the battery. And now we have the battery set to go in, and we're going to see what happens when she pulls it. We have a piece of plastic keeping the battery out. So when she pulls out the piece of plastic, we're going to see what happens. Go ahead, Michaela. And there we can see it drop through, and you can even see right here that the nail is in. I can't see if it's focusing or not, but the nail is in and it's up to the right depth, so it does seem to be working. Now we just have to figure out how to make sure that the battery drops in correctly and that we should be well on our way. Wish us luck. Alright, so I think we're ready to actually test our machine and get a score on it. It's going to start with our interaction, which is step 1, where Michaela will take the rake and she'll pull out the golf club. The releasing of the golf club will send the nunchucks. It'll go down the string and hopefully knock Gerdal off of the corner of the step stool. As Ger falls, it should release that plastic peg which is keeping the battery out of the controllers. Again, the clamps are holding the buttons for the controller down. The rock should help put the battery into place once the plastic peg is removed. Once the plastic peg is removed and the battery goes in, the car will activate, which will pull and drag the bowling pin out of place, allowing the lever to fall. The lever falling will cause the hammer to drop and hit the nail into the baked potato. It's getting really, really windy today, so we're going to hope this works out really quickly. You guys have to be careful with this. My machine actually is holding really well against this wind, but we got to make sure that when you do it on Rube Goldberg Day that you are ready for wind or too hot or cold and all those other things, so make sure you're ready. Okay, Michaela, on 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Oops, Gerdal didn't fall off, so we're going to reset and we're going to try again. Alright, we're going to try test number 2. Go ahead, Michaela, release. And again, Gerd is not falling off. Of all the steps that I didn't expect to fail, that was not it. So we're going to try repositioning one more time. So it ended up getting really, really windy and it blew most of my machine over, even though I thought I had protected against it. So I made some changes to help deal with any further wind gusts. I taped down this level to the teeter-totter. I switched out the yarn that I was using so that it was now a rope. And then to make it slide easier and catch easier, I attached a toilet paper tube to the rope so that the golf club holds easier, because that kept on falling off pretty easily also. So we're going to give it a run now, see how it goes. Alright, Michaela, go ahead and give it a shot. And that stopped working, so we're going to try it again. I had taped the nunchuck to the toilet paper roll, but the tape also slipped and it was attaching to the rope, so that's why it didn't slide. So here's our second run. Alright, go ahead, Michaela. Alright, so it seemed to have worked. Let's check. Go ahead and turn the car off, Michaela. It looks like it's got potential. I've got the nail into the potato, and Oh, the mark wore off. Oh, there it is right there. Right there. So it was about like that. I could see the blue mark, and it was halfway out of the potato. So we barely got it in between the A and B lines. That means we got full credit. Good job, Michaela. We did it.
Yay!
So as you can see, I've put away all of the materials that I used. The area is basically how it was when we got started this morning. Remember, in order to not lose any points, you need to clean up your area completely and thoroughly and then have somebody check it. All right, thank you very much.